Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and I welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune. I just did this and it froze in the middle of what I was saying, and so I'm going to go ahead and keep what I've started here, and we'll just talk about it. Um, Within the context of last Monday, we were talking about betrayal, letting go of getting your emotions in order about all that, letting go of what no longer serves, and moving on, irrespective of how challenging it can be. That was the Eight of Cups. Otherwise, it was the Three of Swords with betrayal. The Ten of Pentacles is really about your legacy. You know, it's about, well, okay, if this is at work or something, do I really need to be in this ridiculous place where these things are happening to me? But it might not be that. It could just be something that's affecting your feeling of security, even if it could be between friends or family or neighbors or what have you. So it doesn't have to be at work, but that's kind of the way we were interpreting it. And then what challenged was the Two of Swords. And so the challenge there was making a decision about all of this in a way that was dispassionate, that was able to get out of the emotion of it and to actually be able to see it clearly. And so we had the Two of Swords for that. And then really what's going to get you focused in the right direction was the Seven of Pentacles. And there we're taking stock of what we've got and what's really important and what's going to secure our future. So it really reinforced that Ten of Pentacles. And so that's kind of why I sort of leaned in the direction of this possibly being a betrayal at work. Maybe someone's undermining it. Maybe it's a project you're working on with other people that aren't pulling their weight, things like that. So that may be what we were talking about. So or something along that line, you know. So if that's been going on, hopefully that's resolved for you. Maybe today's reading will tell us in what direction that is, or maybe give us a little more clarity on whether this was a work thing or something else. But what I did here is I pulled with the runes. I pulled Nathis and I pulled Puella. Now it's interesting with Puella because last Monday we had Isa. Well, number one, Nathis is also a Norn rune. So we had a Norn rune on Monday, Isa, alignment in its will contraction and alignment in spirit. And then we had Pur, which was scattered little boy energy, which was a lack of impulse control. So we were trying to get that under control, keeping the will, you know, in its proper form, transmuted into ego, or not transmitted from ego into spirit, right? And then today we have another Norn rune, Nathis, which is the rune of the future. So we had the rune of the static realm or present moment on Monday, and now we have something signaling the future, or the will, the friction within to manifest. So again, we're still talking about will, but it's spirit will instead of ego will. And so what are we going to manifest today? Well, if we needed to let go of things that no longer served on Monday, maybe we're using Puella, the complement of Pur that we had on Monday. This is more of a loosening of perception, okay, versus a lack of impulse control. With the little boy energy, it's one side of the equation. With the little girl energy, it's more, it's not as destructive as what the little boy energy can be. It's more of a ton of curiosity that's unleashed, right? They're just eager to know everything. And so it allows for the possibility of, whereas the lack of impulse control with little boys maybe, you know, requires cleanup or something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you've had boys and girls, have had two boys, so I know one side of it, but I know from my own self what I was like. And so I don't know, but it's interesting that we had a Norn rune and Pur on Monday and a Norn rune and Puella, its complement, on Thursday. So there's definitely a connection between the two. Now, I drew the King of Cups first here. I got two cards into the reading is what I'm trying to say here. So anyway, we drew the King of Cups. Now, this guy can be really compassionate. He can be very spiritual, very loving, very wise, very benevolent. But like all kings in the Rider-Waite, their backs are to the kingdom, and that just always bothers me. It's like they're disconnected from the effect of their own decisions and rulings and all of that. It's like they're really not impacted by what's happening with the people. And so that always bothers me about the kings. Now, the downside of this king is that he can also be passive aggressive, which is not a good thing. Now, whether this has to do with the authority figure that's implied in what happened on Monday, the betrayal there, we'll see. But it could be that that's the kind of influence you were dealing with. You're still dealing with a bunch of passive aggressive nonsense. And when you're dealing with that, you really can't, you can't get through to somebody like that. You just can't. They are playing the game of being here and here and here and here and everywhere else, and they won't come to the middle, and they won't be honest. And so they're basically, in other words, they're manipulative. And so that could be some of what's going on. But let's just wait and see. Let's just hold that thought. Here we have the Devil card, the 15th card of the Major Arcana. You're looking at a 6 energy here. And so harmony and balance. But this is a balance that's focused on ego. All right? It's being a slave to desire. You see the male and female side of the equation, the masculine and feminine, or receptive and projective influence, if you want to look at it elementally and energetically. But here you have our devil figures perched atop a post there with a ring on it with chains attached to each one of their necks. It's an as above, so below card, but with the focus on form or ego. It's the same as with the Magician card, only in that card, the Magician is holding a scroll in this hand, and this whole arm is extended fully to spirit. It's not like, maybe. Oh, I'll make an appearance, but I won't really, draw down anything from spirit. I don't need to do that. Yeah, we don't want that happening. Because then the fun stops, doesn't it? Yeah. Little angel on your shoulder comes into play. It's like, yeah, I don't know about that. But right now, it kind of looks like if the devil is applying to the King of Cups, and the King of Cups is having some issues here. So the authority within is maybe a little bit too passive aggressive, maybe. If we had something a little more benevolent instead of the devil, well, then we might not interpret it that way. We might interpret it in a way that's, well, he's very compassionate and caring, and you can go to this person for advice, and they'll, in other words, they'll be receptive. Theoretically, the King of Cups should be a receptive type of an influence, given that it's cups. That should be a receptive type of an experience, but sometimes it just means that they can't make up their minds, or they can't really come to some kind of a expressed understanding that makes any sense. It's like they're on the fence and they won't make a decision about something. And whereas on Monday, that's what needed to happen. So if this is your authority, if this is the person in authority, say this is work that we're talking about on Monday, this could be the boss and, not really listening to you. So that can give you information that if you're not going to be heard and the betrayal is going to go forward and hurt you, then it's time maybe again to think about something else and moving on to maybe something better, So I wouldn't walk away, unless you don't have a choice in the matter. I wouldn't walk away without another job, but at the same time, it might be time to start looking for it. Or to reevaluate relationships that you're having if this isn't. Because if it's a betrayal like that, it's like, who needs it? Well, it could be something that you're working towards something more that's a better alignment. Here we have the 3 of Cups. Now, this is a card really of victory in a sense. They're dancing around. They're happy. But it's the group experience. You can look at this in terms of mind, body, spirit, balance. You could look at it that way, that everything is all in balance within. Or you can think about this as a celebration between friends, but harmony. It's also triple aspects. But it's successful communication also, but in the sense of emotionally, it's successful. Communication would actually be air, or the swords, the suit of swords, but the interaction here is positive and happy and compassionate. So I don't know what happened here, to get that under control, but let's see if we can add another card and see. It just seems like a pretty disjointed, uh, unless you compare it to, you add the Eight of Cups in there where you're walking away. And maybe this is describing what you're walking away from and what you could be going to with the Three of Cups. The Ace of Swords is what challenges you. That's what crossed us the last time. The Two of Swords. And so new ideas, new thoughts, new thinking could be a challenge because you're trying to sort all of that out. But also the willingness to stand in your own power. You could also think of it that way. I guess I could show you it, shouldn't I? Well, this is like the third time I've done this today, so I don't know. I started out and I went, no, that doesn't make any sense. And so I stopped. I was just a couple minutes in, and then, or about 7 minutes in, and then I did the second one and it froze at, like, I don't know what it was, 11 minutes or something. I'm like, oh, jeez. So anyway, well, here we have the Ace of Swords, hand reaching out from the clouds. The aces are said to contain all of the energy of the entire suit. And so this is the genesis of new ideas, of new thinking. It can mean victory. And you see that with the crown above. But this is clearly, we're going to begin in spirit with each one of these things. But with each of the aces, we begin in spirit. But it's like it's to me, I equate them with the Fool. It's this undeveloped potential, of what can happen. But basically, if we leave room for that, then maybe we can manifest the Three of Cups. Some kind of a better balance. Let's see what we can use to help us with that. The Page of Wands. The Page of Wands, all of the pages, again, we're talking about undeveloped potential. So we've got the Ace of Swords and the Page of Wands, both that, and so that would be, the Page is the first card in the court. Okay, so with pages, you're talking youthful people, you're talking students, undeveloped potential, news. It could be a pregnancy. Depends on the cards that are surrounding it. It can signal all kinds of things that are new. With the Page of Wands, you're talking about the birth of creativity. About maybe heading off into a new direction. Here you see the Three Pyramids. It's a pilgrimage to the Holy Land there. But we're talking about new opportunities. We're talking about present moment awareness again. We've got the Nathis here, the rune of the future, but at the same time the will contraction, the manifestation, to be able to. The friction within to manifest the new experience and the new opportunity. It's almost like gazing at his staff there. He's gazing off into new experiences. So I have to think that, it's starting to get warm in the room here. I have to think that the two readings are connected, and that maybe the situation you're dealing with, if the King of Cups is not representing the boss or the authority or someone who's a deciding figure in the whole equation, no matter where it is, whether it's in your work or something else, if it looks like they're not going to be able to really understand the greater picture or act with benevolence or kindness, it could just be that they're just way too unstable to affect any kind of a secure change, or to bring everything under some kind of an understanding, a greater understanding. So if that's not possible, then realistically, you're looking at with the devil card too much ego influence in the whole situation. And when ego is there, if spirit can't come in, if some kind of greater awareness or understanding cannot come in and have make some kind of sense of things and bring everything into perspective for everybody, if that can't happen, if it's just not possible, then there's just too much ego at play, and you're not going to be able to see the forest for the trees. Basically everybody's ego's involved, and that's what's important. And so if that's not comfortable to you, if what you're wanting is a more egalitarian experience, then you have to allow for the birth of new ideas to form and the undeveloped potential of considering another path. We saw that with the Eight of Cups on Monday, taking that energy and those decisions and walking away, putting everything into perspective, and taking with you the messages that are going to benefit you later on, but letting go of things that really, the emotion of it all, just let it go, and we're going to move on to new challenges and new experiences. I just think that between the Ace of Swords and the Page of Wands, I think that that's what the reading this week, the whole thing is trying to suggest, that it's okay with Puella, the Puella energy, to loosen the perceptions that you have, to loosen all of that, and to use the experience of the Eight of Cups to walk away from things to set them aside, even if it's something that maybe you come back to at some point when you're in a different space, when your mindset is different, when your spirit is more in play and you can see things from a bigger perspective. But the goal is you want to have, instead of the betrayal of the Three of Swords, you want to end with the Three of Cups, you see, where you're in alignment with other people, and instead of them stabbing you in the back, they're actually there in unity with you. And so it's interesting. We began with the Three of Swords on Monday, and we end, in a sense, with the Three of Cups on Thursday. So I really think that, if we had all of them out here, you could see the natural progression of this. And I think that realistically, maybe things have just become clear that whatever person in authority that might be able to assist here is just maybe too caught up in their own stuff. If it's a person, if that's what the king is representing, or it just could be that the people involved are just not interested in coming to any kind of balanced reason about the whole thing. And that, to me, is reinforced by the Devil card, where it's just too much focus on the self. And so that's really at the heart of whatever this betrayal was people that are just way too focused on themselves, way too focused on their own ego, asserting their own illusion of power, and it's affecting you. So this may be a time, where you start really rethinking everything, letting your perceptions shift into something new, and considering the undeveloped potential of a new experience to bring you the happiness that you deserve to have. So I don't know. I think the Ace of Swords and the Page of Wands are really reinforcing the idea that, you might want to shift your focus into something else and try that on, see how that feels. Think about other opportunities that might take your focus away from all of this stuff. Whether you're able to leave the situation or not, you may be able to find some way to leave it within the situation itself, right? If you can't leave right away, you can figure out a way to get through until you can. So and again, if this is with friendship, I don't know, maybe you need a different set of friends. Maybe this is time to restructure things there. It doesn't mean, again, that you can't reunite at some point, but maybe folks within the situation are so polarized. Maybe the situation, the relationship has become so polarized that that polarization is way too difficult for you to really continue the friendship at this point. And again, it doesn't mean that it can't come back later. It's just right now, where everybody is in all of it, maybe people aren't ready to think outside of themselves. They're just too focused on the ego and what's in it for them. So So I guess that's it. Think about this. If this resonates in some way for you, or maybe you know of someone that this is happening for, and you can share this with them. But again, we get in our own way a lot of the times. How we see things can either make a situation better or it can make a situation worse. And I mean, this could be. I don't think it's about any kind of self betrayal, though. I think that with the Three of Swords starting us out and then ending with, the Three of Cups, that's just, I don't know. There's some synchronicity there that I think we need to think more about. So, anyhow, I guess that's it. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming by. If this is your first time here, welcome. And sometimes I have to do this a few times to get it right, but because it freezes on me usually, and that's what happens most of the time. Sometimes it's like I'll start talking and then suddenly I blank out completely. It's like I'm not relating to this at all, so I'll start over. But I just think that it takes the week to really explore what the message is, and so I was doing this Monday through Thursday, 4 days a week, but now I'm just doing it twice a week because I think it gives people a chance to think about things and see how our lives don't necessarily happen in an instant. Sometimes they do, big things can happen in an instant, but usually it's the ever evolving, thing that happens in our life. That's just what it is. So I think that having this twice a week makes more sense, but anyway, that way I can do other things as well. So anyhow, thanks a lot for coming by. And Sunday, don't forget about esoteric and magical influences. We do that on Sunday. It also goes out in a post. And so, and if you want to sign up for it for the newsletter, you'll get that in your in your inbox on Saturday nights or early Sunday morning. I'm trying to do it now on Saturday night though, and getting everything out there so that it's already out Sunday morning. But that and I put other stuff. There's a calendar, and it's just something to do. Anyway, if you want to sign up for it, you can do that over there on the side panel of the blog. But toward the top, you'll see that. Put your email in there, and it'll come to you in your inbox. So, and I know it's like, oh God, not one more thing in my inbox. But anyway, it's fun. So that's it. So I guess come back for that. And if not, we'll see you again on Monday. And be good to yourself. Be good to one another. Have a wonderful weekend, and blessed be.